being judged, being, having sort of being in the spotlight, about who you are as a human being, that is awkward. And then it was, 4 years later. 3 or 4 years later.
Wow.
It's like he'd always been there. It's like he fit in the crook of my arm. He looked me in the eyes, and he was wise.
Sandra Bullock. For decades, she's been Hollywood's superstar next door, the one everyone feels like they could grab a beer with. Her on-screen charm is the stuff of legends, earning her the unofficial title of America's sweetheart. We've watched her keep a bus from exploding, go undercover at a beauty pageant, and float through the terrifying silence of space. Her career is a masterclass in talent and resilience, all while maintaining a level of public grace that most celebrities can only dream of. But let's be real. Behind that perfect smile, is it all sunshine and rainbows? Does amazing on-screen chemistry always translate to off-screen friendship? In the high-pressure cooker of Hollywood, not every collaboration ends with a group hug. Whispers of friction and on-set tension have followed Sandra throughout her career, just as they have for any star of her magnitude. So what really happens when the cameras stop rolling? Today, we're counting down the top 6 actors Sandra Bullock supposedly couldn't stand. We'll dig into the tabloid headlines, the insider reports, and the awkward interviews that fueled these stories. But more importantly, we're going to separate the proven conflicts from the pure Hollywood fiction. As we're about to find out, some of these feuds are the real deal, while others were just cooked up to sell magazines. So, which stories are true, and which are just smoke and mirrors? Let's get into it. Kicking off our list at number 6 is a name that's been tied to Sandra's for decades, not as a co-star, but as a rival, the one and only Julia Roberts. This alleged feud is one of Hollywood's most persistent rumors, a supposed Cold War between two of the industry's most powerful women for scripts, box office dominance, and the title of America's sweetheart. But was there ever any real fire? Or was it just a classic case of the media pitting two successful women against each other? The story really starts in the mid-90s. Julia Roberts was already the undisputed queen of Hollywood, thanks to blockbusters like Pretty Woman. Then, in 1994, Sandra Bullock burst onto the scene in Speed. Almost overnight, she was a massive star, and the media, always looking for a narrative, immediately started calling her the next Julia Roberts. While meant as a compliment, that comparison became the seed from which the entire feud story grew. For the press, it was perfect. The reigning queen and the up-and-coming challenger. Julia Roberts, for her part, was openly annoyed by this. In a 2003 interview, she was candid about her frustration with the media-created drama, seeing it as lazy journalism that tried to create conflict where there wasn't any. She felt it was a narrative forced upon them, not something born from actual animosity. Despite zero real evidence, the tabloids milked the story for years. Every career move was framed as part of the rivalry. If one had a hit, how did the other feel? If they were up for the same role, it was a showdown. One particularly ridiculous rumor claimed they were fighting over their mutual friend, George Clooney, a story both women would later find hilarious. The whole thing came to a head in 2014. While accepting an award, Bullock spotted Roberts in the audience and deadpanned, "Julia, I don't know why you're laughing. I'm going to be nice. I know we're competing for the same men." That moment said everything. It wasn't tense. It was a public takedown of the entire absurd rumor. Bullock used humor to show everyone that not only was there no feud, but they were both in on the joke. She later explained how the Hollywood system back then was designed to keep top actresses from being friends, forcing them to compete for a small number of great roles. This context is crucial. It shows the feud wasn't personal, but a symptom of a broken industry dynamic. So, what's the final verdict? This one is pure Hollywood fiction. There was never any real personal hatred between Sandra Bullock and Julia Roberts. By all credible accounts, the entire conflict was manufactured by the media. They may not be best friends, but the idea of a bitter feud is nothing more than a tabloid fantasy. The only real conflict was between the actresses and the media, that tried to write them into a drama they refused to star in. Coming in at number 5 is another supposed A-list rivalry, this time with Friends icon Jennifer Aniston. Much like the Julia Roberts rumor, this story seems born more out of convenience than reality. Both women became America's sweethearts around the same time and excelled in romantic comedies, making them easy competitors in the eyes of the tabloids. But when you look past the headlines, the story of a feud falls apart, replaced by a much more interesting truth about friendship and solidarity. The narrative starts in the 90s. In 1994, Bullock had Speed and Aniston had Friends. They were both funny, beloved, and everywhere, so the media painted a picture of a quiet competition for roles and even for leading men. They both dated Tate Donovan years apart. This story was easy to sell and persisted for years, even though there were no public fights or angry statements to back it up. But here's the twist. The truth is the complete opposite of a feud. According to Sandra Bullock herself, the reason they weren't friends for the longest time wasn't personal. It was because of Hollywood's toxic culture. She candidly explained that back then, the industry didn't want its leading ladies to be friends. "We were told we weren't supposed to like and respect each other," she said. That's a powerful admission. It means their distance wasn't a sign of a feud. It was a symptom of a system that actively discouraged female friendship. The turning point came not from a fight, but from a chance encounter at a friend's wedding that completely rewrote the script. Far from a tense standoff, the meeting sparked a deep and supportive friendship. Since that night, Aniston brought Bullock into her inner circle, and they've built a bond over shared experiences that few others could ever understand, from navigating insane levels of fame to dealing with stalkers. Of course, the tabloids tried to add another layer of drama involving Angelina Jolie. The logic went, since Sandra is friends with Jennifer Aniston, she must hate Angelina Jolie. One unconfirmed source even claimed Sandra's loyalty was with Brad and Jen. This is classic tabloid triangulation, creating conflict by association. Yet Bullock's very real friendship and professional work with Brad Pitt on movies like Bullet Train and The Lost City shows that her relationships are far more complex than the cheap soap opera plot lines the media creates. The verdict on the Bullock versus Aniston feud? It's 100% industry-fueled fiction. The real story isn't about a rivalry. It's about two women who were discouraged from being friends by the Hollywood machine, only to find genuine camaraderie on their own terms. The only thing hated here was the culture that tried to keep them apart. At our number 4 spot, we're tackling something a little different, a rumor that lives and breathes on the internet. You've probably seen the YouTube videos with titles like "Director Insults Sandra Bullock, but Keanu Reeves Steps In." These videos feature dramatic voiceovers describing a tyrannical director humiliating Sandra, only for her heroic co-star Keanu Reeves to swoop in and save the day. They're designed to make you angry and sympathetic. But here's the tiny detail they often hide in the description. The stories are completely made up. These YouTube channels are basically creating modern-day fanfiction and dressing it up as news. They invent dialogue for a bully director and describe Sandra standing there feeling a slow burn of humiliation. The plot is almost always the same. A cruel director tears Sandra down, and a noble Keanu defends her honor. The videos get millions of views because they tap into our desire to see heroes and villains. The problem? It's creative writing, not journalism. The disclaimers even admit the content is entirely fictional. So why is a fake feud on this list? Because it's a gateway to a genuine and much more telling story Sandra Bullock has shared herself. While the dramatic tale of Keanu saving her from a screaming director is fiction, Bullock has confirmed she's faced horrible situations with powerful people on set. The reality, however, was nothing like the cinematic showdowns on YouTube. In an interview, Bullock recalled an experience early in her career with a person of authority who made unwanted advances. She tried to deflect with humor, but it didn't work. The situation got so bad that she finally had to confront him, saying, "Please just fire me." She's never named the person, But the story reveals a grim Hollywood reality. There was no hero, co-star who saved her. She had to save herself by drawing a line and being willing to lose her job to protect her boundaries. This real-life story is a world away from the YouTube fanfiction. In the real world, abuse of power isn't resolved with a dramatic speech. It's often handled quietly, with huge personal and professional risks. Bullock's story isn't about a damsel in distress. It's about a young actress learning to use the word no as a survival tool. So the feud with a mean YouTube director is, by definition, fiction. But does it point to a deeper truth? Absolutely. Sandra Bullock has had to navigate difficult and toxic power dynamics. It's a powerful reminder that while the internet invents drama for clicks, the real conflicts actors face are often quieter, more personal, and require a very different kind of strength to overcome. All right, we are halfway through our list, and we've already busted some of the biggest myths around Sandra Bullock's relationships, from media-fueled rivalries to totally fake stories. It's clear the truth is usually buried under a lot of gossip. Before we biggest stories every week, and you won't want to miss what's next. Now, back to the countdown. At number 3, we have an actor whose on-screen chemistry with Sandra was so good, it was basically magic. Ryan Reynolds. Their 2009 rom-com. The Proposal was a monster hit, mostly because they were so hilarious and charming together. They genuinely seemed like best friends. But this is Hollywood, and no good thing can exist without someone trying to create drama around it. Despite their obvious friendship, rumors of on-set tension have circulated in the darker corners of the internet. One YouTube video, for example, claims Bullock finally revealed horrible things Reynolds did on set, alleging he was a control freak who made her feel like a background extra in her own film. It tries to paint a picture of a tense, miserable environment. But like the other fictional stories, the video comes with a disclaimer that it's just commentary and not based on confirmed facts. In other words, there's no credible proof. The reality of their relationship is the exact opposite of what these gossip videos claim. Sandra and Ryan have a very public, very real friendship that has lasted for more than a decade. They talk about each other with incredible warmth. For his 43rd birthday, she posted a hilarious video singing him a custom birthday song, ending with, "I love you so much." Their interactions are all about mutual respect and a shared, slightly chaotic sense of humor. So where did the feud rumors even come from? It seems to be a mix of clickbait invention and a misunderstanding of the creative process. Bullock is a hands-on producer, and Reynolds is famous for his improv skills. It's totally possible that two highly creative actors had professional disagreements about a scene or a joke. But in a healthy workplace, that's not a feud. That's called collaboration. To a gossip channel, however, any disagreement can be twisted into a clash of egos. The most telling proof against a feud is how they handled the famous nude scene in The Proposal. That's a moment that requires an incredible amount of trust. Both have said they got through the awkwardness with professionalism and humor, relying on their friendship. That is not how two people who secretly hate each other behave. It's how two friends and professionals who trust each other implicitly get the job done. The verdict on a feud with Ryan Reynolds? A clear case of tabloid fabrication. The claims are unsubstantiated and are completely contradicted by a decade of a publicly documented warm friendship. Their amazing on-screen chemistry wasn't an act. It was a reflection of their real-life rapport. Our number 2 spot isn't a story about a bitter feud, but about a years-long avoidance that started with one profoundly awkward meeting. We're talking about the king of British rom-coms, Hugh Grant. This isn't a tale of screaming matches or professional jealousy. It's a cringy and ultimately very human story of a bad first impression that took years to fix, all before they ever even worked together. The story starts years before they filmed the 2002 movie 2 Weeks' Notice. According to Grant himself, he was introduced to Bullock and, trying to be funny, told a disgusting story that did not land well at all. He admits it was inappropriate and made her visibly uncomfortable. The result was immediate. For the next 3 years, Sandra Bullock wanted nothing to do with him. This wasn't some secret Cold War. Grant said it was very direct. If he saw her at an event, she would literally turn and walk the other way. He was on her personal blacklist, which shows just how badly that first impression went. For Bullock, who has said she hates being made, to feel uncomfortable for a joke, Grant's humor clearly crossed a line. The story could have ended there, but Hollywood had other ideas. They were cast as the leads in 2 weeks' notice, a movie that required believable romantic chemistry. By the time filming started, enough time had passed for the awkwardness to fade, and they moved forward like professionals. The movie was a hit, and you'd never guess from their on-screen banter that their relationship had such a rocky start. Both actors can now look back and laugh about it. They've both acknowledged the awkward beginning with no hard feelings. It highlights a key difference. A period of discomfort isn't the same as a feud. A feud implies ongoing hatred. This was a case of a boundary being crossed and a completely understandable period of distance. The verdict on the feud with Hugh Grant. It's best described as a classic case of a bad joke leading to a long but temporary freeze-out. There was no deep-seated hatred. It was simply one person making another person uncomfortable, and that person choosing to avoid them. The fact that they got past it to make a successful movie shows a level of professionalism that often gets lost in these stories. And now, for our #1 spot. This is easily the most complex and persistent rumor on our list. It's not a story of on-set fights, but of an alleged quiet professional rivalry that has spanned over a decade. We're talking about the other Hollywood titan, Angelina Jolie. The rumored tension between Sandra Bullock and Angelina Jolie is a saga involving fierce competition for roles, perceived loyalties to different Hollywood camps, and a clash of public images. Unlike the others, this rumor has stuck around precisely because it seems so plausible in the cutthroat world of A-list Hollywood. The most famous flashpoint is the 2013 Oscar-winning film, Gravity. Sandra Bullock gave one of the best performances of her career, earning an Oscar nomination. However, before Bullock was cast, Angelina Jolie was reportedly in deep talks for the part. According to insider reports, the role was a major point of contention. When Bullock landed it and got massive acclaim, it supposedly solidified a professional rivalry. This professional competition was allegedly intensified by the infamous Brad Pitt-Jennifer Aniston-Angelina Jolie love triangle. As we mentioned, Sandra is a very close friend of Jennifer Aniston. In the world of tabloid logic, that automatically put her in opposition to Jolie. As Bullock's friendship and work with Brad Pitt grew in later years, the narrative only got louder. Unnamed insiders claimed Bullock's loyalty was firmly with Brad and Jen, effectively siding against Jolie. It is critical to state that these claims are based almost entirely on anonymous insider gossip. Neither Bullock nor Jolie has ever publicly confirmed a feud. Their comments about each other have been minimal and polite. When asked about Bullock once, Jolie gave a brief and, some say, chilly response. "I wish her the best, truly. But we're very different people." It's not an insult, but it's a long way from a warm embrace, and that emphasis on being very different seems to say a lot. Bullock, for her part, has stayed silent on the matter, which is her typical way of handling gossip. Many believe the rivalry isn't personal, but is rooted in the fundamental competition between two of the most bankable female stars of their generation. They have different styles and different public personas, yet they have often been up for the same powerful, career-defining roles. This seems to be the heart of it, a professional rivalry over territory at the very top of the Hollywood food chain. It's less about personal hatred and more about the natural friction between two ambitious, talented people vying for the same limited resources. So, what's the final verdict? Of all the stories, the rumored conflict between Sandra Bullock and Angelina Jolie feels the most grounded in a plausible reality, but it must be defined correctly. There is no substantiated evidence of a Cold War or personal hatred. The story is one of intense, unconfirmed professional rivalry. The credible evidence points to a cool distance, driven by competition for roles like Gravity and amplified by tabloid narratives. The lack of warmth between them is noticeable, but the idea of a strategic, personal feud remains pure speculation. It's a quiet, frosty relationship between two Hollywood superpowers, defined more by what isn't said than what is. So, what did we learn today? The reality behind Sandra Bullock's supposed feuds is almost always more complicated, and way less dramatic than the headlines. We've seen stories that were pure media fabrications, like the rivalries with Julia Roberts and Jennifer Aniston, which were really just symptoms of an industry that loves to pit women against each other. We saw how an awkward moment with Hugh Grant was blown out of proportion, and how a real friendship with Ryan Reynolds was twisted into a fake battle for clicks. And finally, we examined the most plausible conflict of all, the professional rivalry with Angelina Jolie, a feud rooted in competition, not confirmed personal hatred. This all shows that in Hollywood, things are rarely what they seem. The celebrity feud narrative is profitable, but it erases the nuances of professional relationships and the real pressures of fame. Sandra Bullock's career proves that while nobody is immune to gossip, the best defense is grace, professionalism, and a good sense of humor. The America's sweetheart image might not be the whole story, but it seems a lot closer to the truth than the catty persona the tabloids have been trying to sell us for decades. But what do you think? Which of these surprised you the most? Are there any you used to believe were real? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into your favorite Hollywood stories.